And so it's going to affect that. The bond market's going to get killed, especially speculative bonds. And so that'll affect the stock market, which will go down. It's in its final stages of getting ready to go down and test 6,600 on the Dow. And so that's where we're headed. Now, I'm getting stories in which we're carrying as links for the most part in the international forecaster. The stories are about food, and this is from the general public. Already, supermarkets are complaining of people coming in and buying a lot of goods, canned goods, and other kinds of food. And we've been an advocate of dehydrated and freeze-dried foods and a water filter, a good one, and a method of defending yourself for many years. And, of course, we practice what we preach as well. And we've been a strong advocate of gold and silver coins and shares as well. I think the public is catching on something very nasty is going to happen. And so they're starting to do what we're doing. Now, Drew said that I was doing 30, 35 programs a week now, and that is true. I'm going on ABC, NBC, and Fox. I don't think I've been on CBS, and a lot of other programs I've never been on before. And these range anywhere from 15 minutes to 2 hours. But most of them are in the 30-minute to 1-hour category. And I've been talking about these things to people, and so I'm entering into audiences that I've never spoken to before. And I also have been enunciating, and take this down, I'm talking about the Federal Reserve. Now, Ron Paul has a piece of legislation which I talked about last week, and I want to bring to your attention again. And it's about auditing the Federal Reserve, which is a private corporation, incidentally. I know you're going to find that weird and surprising, but it is. And the bill is called the Federal Reserve Transparency Act of 2009. And the bill number is H.R. 1207. 1207. And it already has 179 co-sponsors. And we need this bill desperately. It's the most important financial or economic bill to be presented to the House in 96 years. And the reason for 96 is the Federal Reserve was created under the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. And the reason it was created was because after the Civil War, we had a depression during the 1870s. And then in the 80s and 90s and 1905, we had panics, recessions. And so in 1913, they got this bill passed, and they've been as bad as the Treasury was before. They've been a disaster. And they're the ones who are causing all the problems. And this is the nucleus of power for the elitists who run our country from behind the scenes, control our industry, banking, Wall Street, government, everything. And this is a great way to stop them. So go to all congressmen, all the people in the House, and tell them, we want this bill out of committee, we want it passed, and we want the Federal Reserve given back to the U.S. Treasury as it should be under the Constitution. Again, that's H.R. 1207, Federal Reserve Transparency Act of 2009. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing so many programs. And the reaction has been fantastic, especially from the hosts, which rather floors me that they would understand what I was talking about. Most people who get bachelor's degrees in business don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe a handful who get masters in business know. and maybe a few more who get doctorates, but it's a big dark secret. And what the Fed does is handles the monetary matters of the United States. That is interest rates, creating money and credit, going into the Treasury bond market and make sure it doesn't go out of kilter, and trying to shape the direction of the U.S. dollar. That, and of course, keep down inflation and keep full employment if that's possible. That's what the Fed's supposed to be doing, and they're not doing it. What they're doing is they're feeding the information of what they're going to do to their buddies in the banks and on Wall Street, and they're making a killing, and they've been doing it for years, and it's got to stop. Do we have anybody waiting to ask a question?
No, I've been intently listening because you're right on point. I wanted to bring forth something that rhymes in with what you've got to say, and that is from Benito Mussolini back in early 1930s. He made a big comment that fascism should rightly be called corporatism, as it is the merger of corporate and government power. And, Mr. Chapman, is that not what we're having right here from Washington, D.C., where we've got the merging of government power over corporations, i.e. the banks and the automobile industry?
That's correct. And, you know, I've got a tape that's going to be on this issue coming out on Saturday. I put a lot of links in because I don't have time to write about everything. And some people do great writing about things, and we use their work. And they love it, believe me, because they tell me. And we get lots of little videos and, you know, things that are on links. I got one today, Naomi Wolf, who's a writer, was talking, and I watched just the beginning of it, and then I put it into the publication. And she was talking to a group, I think it was in Connecticut at a university, and she was saying that how she got involved in thinking about what we're discussing here, especially in regard to socialism and fascism. And fascism is a form of socialism. And she said, I had this little old Jewish lady who said to me, this is just the way it was in the early 30s in Germany. This is just the way it was in the early 30s in Germany. This is just the way it was in the early 30s in Germany, and on and on. What this woman who's in her 90s was telling Naomi Wolf was, this is the same thing that the Nazis did. And we got these people running our government. That's why I put the tape or the video or whatever is in there. And the point is this. We got a bunch of Nazis running our government. It doesn't matter which party. Has nothing to do with that. Left, right, center, nothing to do with that. And everything to do with power. And they want to Nazify the United States of America. And that's what they're up to. And after that, they want world government on a national socialist or international socialist level. International fascism, if you may. This is what they're after. And if you read the history, you will find out. I've spent 50 years studying this, and I know what I'm talking about. We are in deep trouble. You better get yourself prepared mentally, physically, and you got to try to help your friends and your family. If they don't want to listen, it's okay. Just make sure you get enough food for them too, because they'll come around and say, gee, I wish I'd listened. They're not bad people. They just can't understand. And some of them may actually be dumb. And there's a lot of dumb people in this world. But that doesn't mean they don't have to eat. They do. Anyway, this is where we're headed. And you better get on your horse because we're headed for some deep trouble.